And thanks for joining us tonight. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. We begin with that problem facing some Oregon families most in need of help. Their children with serious disabilities require round-the-clock care.
And these parents are deeply worried they could soon face a choice they describe as impossible, as the temporary funds they were being paid to provide that necessary care will soon be drying up. Alma McCarty explains how they're fighting to save it.
Kenzie, you doing good over there?
Callie Ross wants what any parent would want for their child.
I want my sons to have experiences and just be able to grow and be happy.
The Rosses' Sherwood home set up a little differently than most.
This tubing is just present throughout our house.
For 7-year-old Tenzie.
He was born with 1p36 deletion syndrome, and then he was also born with Russell-Silver syndrome, which is a form of primordial dwarfism.
He needs care round the clock with one of his parents up at all times.
Whoever did night shift goes to sleep, and then whoever did day shift gets up at 6:45. His morning duties include, not just hygiene cares, but also stoma cares for his trach and for his G-tube. And then he has at least an hour in his stander, which is where we put him to help prevent osteoporosis and just get him in that position.
Ten's level of care now even more intense after his heart stopped in January 2020. Callie says doctors and nurses performed CPR for over 30 minutes before putting him on the highest form of life support.
And I just remember looking at him attached to all this tubing and blood being processed out of his body by a machine, and thinking that how much I loved him. And I looked at him and I promised him that if he wanted to keep fighting, if he wanted to keep being here, that I would make sure he had the very best quality of life at home with his family where he loves to be.
Due to his disability, Tenz qualifies for more than 500 hours a month of in-home intensive services through Medicaid. A pandemic rule change allowed his parents and others like them to be paid to provide those services. The temporary waiver was put in place to reduce exposure to COVID-19.
This is mildly over minimum wage. It's not large, but it's enough to help families.
Come mid-July, that COVID-era exception ends in Oregon. The Office of Developmental Disability Services explains while the funding doesn't stop, parents will no longer be able to serve as their child's paid caregiver. However, parents say it's been a struggle for years to find qualified caregivers, a situation made worse during the pandemic.
There are no caregivers, there are no nurses, and we have nursing agencies saying, no, that's not going to change by then.
The Rosses say this puts them and hundreds of other families in dire straits. Parents like Tina Strassener and her daughter June.
Nursing and outside help's not always the answer, and I'm the best, most qualified caregiver.
And Gabriel Triplett and his son, Oscar.
Paid parent caregivers keeps families stable. It keeps children healthy and out of institutions.
One of their biggest fears is without enough caregivers, families will have to make an impossible choice for their children to have them institutionalized.
We're scared. We're terrified.
These families now fighting to at least allow the option of paid parent caregivers permanently. They appealed to the state's Medicaid Advisory Committee, and now that group is recommending a permanent policy change to the Office of Developmental Disability Services.
Our goal is to meet in front of the E-Board, the emergency board with legislators, and get a 6-month reprieve from July until they can make new legislation in February 2023.
Callie hopes leaders will recognize the necessity of extending this program.
We need support.
So children like Tenzie can thrive.
As he fought so hard, we have to fight so hard to make sure that what he's lost, we can make up in gains.
And Alma joins us now in the newsroom. Alma, I have the greatest admiration for these families you featured. And now that they're facing an end date to this policy in just a couple of months, what comes next?
Well, Laurel, after trying for months to nail down a meeting, these families will sit down with the director of the Office of Developmental Disability Services to work on resolving these issues. A spokesperson for that office tells me this is a complex policy issue, and it will take changes to state regulations and approval from the Medicaid Services Office to allow these parents to remain paid caregivers.
Well, we do hope it gets resolved soon. Thank you, Alma. Now to get you caught up on tonight's other headlines, check out these waves pummeling a sailboat. This is off the Oregon coast today. Wow, the 26-foot boat started having trouble. You can see there near Astoria, and the waves carried it toward the shore. The sailor was caught on camera, watch this, jumping overboard. The U.S. Coast Guard came to his rescue. He was hoisted out of the water by a boat crew and taken to a waiting ambulance. That's the boat later washing ashore at Fort Stevens State Park.
A 21-year-old man has been arrested following a shooting inside an Airbnb. Police say the suspect, who was staying in a room, shot a woman who was his host through a door. This was just after 8:30 last night near Grand Avenue and MLK Boulevard. The woman's injuries are serious, but yes, she is expected to survive. Police say she was trying to speak with the guest when he shot her.
And police need your help finding an arson suspect they believe is connected to vandalism at places of worship in our area. Police say on Tuesday, surveillance video caught the suspect trying to start a fire in the back of the Muslim Community Center on North Vancouver Avenue. And before that, on April 30th, PPB believes the same person broke a window at the Eastside Jewish Commons on Northeast Sandy Boulevard.
Well, breakthrough cases now make up more than half of the COVID cases reported in Oregon. That is according to the latest report released just today. There were about 9,700 in Oregon in April. That is 52.6% of total cases. Breakthrough cases, a reminder, are those in people that are considered fully vaccinated. Now, health officials expected statistically, as more people got vaccinated, we would see a higher proportion of breakthrough cases. But they also remind us the data shows those who are not vaccinated are still more than twice as likely to contract COVID than those who are. Overall, COVID cases still on the rise here. Hospitalizations also ticking up as well, but they remain very, very low when compared to the Omicron surge earlier this year.
A new program in the Portland area is incentivizing landlords to rent empty units to people who are homeless, and it's getting mixed reviews. Move In Multnomah is a program that started about a week ago with 45 landlords who volunteered to offer apartments and single-family homes to those without a home. For those who take part in the program, they would be guaranteed rent for up to 12 months, a holding fee to cover rent while the tenant is being placed, a hotline with tenant case managers, and payment for any damages. Some say it's a step in the right direction. Others are worried.
I know there's a lot of really great people on the streets that know how to live. I'm not accusing it as a slam dunk, but I just don't know that as a wide range policy, there's enough safeguards in this to help landlords be able to manage it properly.
I don't think anyone is assuming any one piece of this puzzle is the solution. It's really an ask for partnership.
The $4 million in funding for the program comes from the Tri-County budget. Landlords have until June 30th to apply.